Aye, people, what a headline this one is. The U.S. deportation drama that's got more twists than a Malawian tarmac road after the rains. Imagine a man who's lived in Maryland for years, married to an American, raising a family, now suddenly facing deportation not to his homeland, not even to a place he's ever seen, but to Liberia. Yes, Liberia, a country that had nothing to do with his story until now. This is the tale of Kilvar Abrego Garcia, a man trapped in legal limbo, a living reminder of how complicated immigration battles can get when politics, power, and humanity collide. Our story begins in the quiet suburbs of Maryland, where Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran national, had lived peacefully with his American wife and their child. He came to the U.S. illegally as a teenager, chasing the dream many before him had chased, and for years, that dream seemed real. He worked, paid taxes, built a life, and called America home. But that peace shattered earlier this year when U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement suddenly detained him. The charge? Illegal presence. The result? Deportation orders. Even after a court temporarily blocked his removal, officials pushed ahead anyway, sending him off to El Salvador against that very ruling. It was like watching a referee ignore the whistle in full daylight. But wait, as any Malawian will tell you, when one road closes, there's always a dusty detour just ahead. Now here's where the story turns from tragic to bizarre. After being sent to El Salvador, the wrong country, and brought back, U.S. officials had a problem. What do you do with a man that no nation wants to take? Uganda said no, Eswatini said no. Ghana? Also no. It was like passing a hot potato around the diplomatic table. Everyone wanted to drop it fast. Enter Liberia. The United States described Liberia as a thriving democracy with strong human rights protections. Nice words, but behind those words was desperation. Washington needed a yes, and Monrovia delivered it, on what they called a temporary humanitarian basis. So Liberia became the chosen one. But you'll soon see this yes raised more questions than it solved. Liberia, the small West African nation with a big heart, has often stepped up for humanitarian causes. But this time, even many Liberians were left scratching their heads. Why accept a Salvadoran man with no links to their soil, no family, no history, and no shared language? The government said it was answering a humanitarian call, a temporary refuge for a man stuck between borders. To Washington, that sounded like cooperation. To others, it sounded like outsourcing responsibility. You deported him once to the wrong country, now you're deporting him to the wrong continent. The move quickly stirred debate about fairness, human dignity, and Africa's place in U.S. immigration politics. But as we Malawians say, when elephants fight, the grass suffers. And in this case, the grass was Garcia himself. Back in the U.S., lawyers fought tooth and nail to stop this next deportation. They argued that sending Garcia to Liberia violated international law, that it was, in legal language, a course calculated to inflict maximum hardship. The courts had already ruled that his earlier deportation was unlawful, so the second attempt only added fuel to a growing fire. Human rights groups called it a bureaucratic shuffle of cruelty, and they weren't far off. The man had an American wife, a child in school, and a home, yet he was being treated like lost luggage no one wanted to claim. In Malawi, we'd say, Ufulu ndi ufulu ngakale wa munu wamba. A right is still a right even for the ordinary person. And yet, behind the legal walls and headlines, a bigger global picture was emerging. At the heart of all this lies a deep, uncomfortable truth. Migration isn't just a legal issue, it's a human one. Garcia's case exposes how powerful countries sometimes play chess with real lives. The U.S. wanted him gone, Africa became the board, and Liberia, perhaps unknowingly, became the move that made headlines. For America, it's about enforcing law. For human rights defenders, it's about compassion. For Garcia, it's about survival, about being a husband and father, not a symbol of political power games. This story reminds us that no matter how strong the passports or how loud the policies, humanity must not be deported. So, what can we learn from this? Let's wrap it up with a few thoughts and a call to all who believe in fairness. There it is, folks, the story of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. One man caught between continents, policies, and politics. A reminder that behind every immigration headline, there's a heartbeat. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told with both heart and humor, show your support by hitting like, subscribing to @GlobalPulse News, and joining the conversation below. And hey, while you're at it, spread the love across our Global Pulse family. Visit our sister channels @Sparkling Kids and @Rama Fatima, where young minds learn, laugh, and shine. Let's grow together as one digital family, one pulse.